This is one of the biggest money-making opportunities that we've ever had an opportunity to be on the cusp of.
Okay.
Specifically, black people, people of color.
Yep.
Are you ready? We're gonna run the play. Let's go. Do you know what it's like to come from nothing at all, but every day you just wanting it all? Do you know what it's like? Every day facing your fear, but believing that your blessing is near. Do you know what it's like? Growing up broken than most, but still being devoted the most. Do you know what it's like? Yeah, that's what the journey's about. Yeah. Let me show you.
Are you ready? What's going on, y'all? This is Justin Owens, back at the Run the Play show, where I help break down the top plays of success from top leaders, entrepreneurs, and personalities by sharing gems from their personal playbook. And I'm excited today, like always. We've got a guru in the house, in the tech space, my brother, Cyrus Harbin. How you doing, man?
Yo, bro, doing good, man.
Look,
Happy to be up in here.
This gentleman is the owner of, y'all probably see the podcast, Tech is New Black, and he's the co-founder of RUNTHEPLAY AI. This gentleman is just kind of wrecked the scene in the tech space. I would say probably in the last 12 to 18 months, probably before that, but you know, he just came and he's been teaching people the game, and I wanted to have a conversation with you, one, because I know that with tech and with AI, the space is really booming.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people don't really know what's happening in the space.
Yeah.
And so some people are extremely on the side of fear, like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose everything. And some people are like, I think it's great. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I want to have a conversation, maybe in the middle, to say, okay, look, what are pros and cons? What are things you're saying in the marketplace? So let's just start here. What are your thoughts initially of AI itself?
Man, first and foremost, my thoughts on AI is that this is one of the biggest money-making opportunities that we've ever had an opportunity to be on the cusp of.
Okay.
Specifically, black people, people of color.
Yep.
Because for the first time ever, like usually whether we're talking real estate, whether we're talking investments, whatever we're talking about, we've always been 100 years behind, 50 years behind, maybe even 20 years behind at the most. Mm-hmm. Even with the crypto boom, we were still like a few years behind on that.
Sure.
But AI is something that's now.
Right.
There is no AI expert. Like there is no like true like the guru person of AI.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the person that's coined the father of AI, he just recently retired and said he's completely done with it. He doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And so with the AI companies that are popping up right now, the level of investors and VC funding, it's like we've never seen a time before where there's such a great opportunity for new inventions, new creations, new technology. Even if you're a person that don't understand anything about tech itself, you can still partner with someone that does, create an invention that completely transforms the world and just really sets yourself up, sets your community up. So I think it's an incredible thing that people are trying to sleep on. It's gonna wake them up.
No, for sure.
But it's something that's about to like wreck everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've had a couple of opportunities pass by, and some of them were just in social media, where I was just like, man, nah, I don't think I'm gonna do nothing. And then they blow up. And then I'd be like, nah, I ain't gonna focus on that. And then they blow up. I said, you know, as soon as they start talking about AI, I said, okay, hold on, let me just get in here and play around, because I've had too many opportunities that I was so ignorant that I wasn't smart enough to at least take a look. You know, like some of us, we just like, oh no, that's just over my head. That's too much. And it's like, but you ain't even looked at it. Like, how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Or there's some people that just, they're making assumptions just off of social media posts and the captions that people create. I'm like, but that's somebody else's perspective. At some point, you got to say, okay, let me dive in here and start understanding it. So if I'm new to the world of AI, where would you tell a person to start?
First, I would say, do not think you understand AI because you watch some movies. Okay. One of the things we do all the time, I was just at the barbershop. And the barbers, all they were doing was referencing movies. Which of course we're seeing things happen in technology today that movies that were shown in movies before.
Yeah, for sure.
Nevertheless, the first thing somebody should do, really just YouTube University. Just go to YouTube. Okay. Look up information on YouTube. Watch episodes of Tech is New Black, specifically episodes or clips where we have like people that are AI experts talking about technology. It's like there really is no bad place to start. But at the same time, this isn't something where someone could go to a library and get a bunch of books on AI, because again, it's so new. And so really the starting point of just going on YouTube, like I'm subscribed to a few different channels on YouTube, a few different email lists where every single day I'm getting updates. Because every single day there is new technology, new updates of what's happening with AI advancements.
Got it.
And so really that's just the best place to start for somebody who's ignorant. And it's not as complicated as people think it is. Because again, this is something that is still relatively new.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's gotten so complex and so advanced. Now, is building it complex? Like if you're not a software developer, then it's gonna be complex building it.
Yeah.
But understanding what it is actually pretty simple.
Got it. So is this something that you've seen as like specifically for like young people? Like this, like, you know, I gotta be 20 and under, 30 and under to really understand? What's your perspective on that?
No, I mean, so naturally by default, young people are gonna be the ones that they're gonna have a natural proclivity towards it to where they're just gonna like connect with it right away. You know, they're like, you know, teenagers, some like kids even like 9, 10 years old that are already hip to AI and technology. They're already like literally building some of these tools themselves.
Yeah.
And so they have a natural kind of proclivity towards it since it's literally in their generation. That being said, it's not something that's so complex that somebody that's in their 50s or 60s won't be able to understand. I think of it this way. You know how like, okay, if you go, you know how you talk, I don't even want to say somebody in the hood, but just someone who just naturally by default isn't using their brain.
Yeah.
Whether they're not reading books or they're not even trying to keep up with what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
That type of person, yeah, of course, you go to them and you try to tell them to like, you know, you try to talk to them about AI, talk to them about some new technology, robotics, whatever. Yeah, they're just gonna be, their head is gonna explode.
Yeah.
But if just a simple person, you just read, let's say a couple books a year.
Yeah.
You know, you researching a few different things, you stand on top of a few different things that are going on. You're at least like training your brain to some level and some degree. I mean, shoot, if you're just a person where you're even willing to learn a new social media platform, learning about AI and technology is not even as complex as it is going from Instagram to TikTok and learning that platform.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm gonna just say this: some of y'all got to start using your brain a little bit more anyway. Because I was thinking about it the other day, man. Like even being younger, I was like, man, how many people's numbers did I have memorized?
Bruh.
Like I'm like, man, if your phone died, how many numbers? Like I want y'all to think about this for real. If your phone died, how many numbers you really know? You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people for real. Like we don't use our brains enough to like. Everything's on GPS, so if your phone died, you don't even know where you at. And you 5 minutes from the house. I was talking to Dr. Holistic, that's my guy. He was like, bro, I've started to stop using my GPS because it was making me lazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, you're right, babe. Sometimes let me just drive where I'm going and let me make sure I'm being aware. Because there's some things that you're doing that like, bro, how many people know their mama number by heart? Dad number by heart? I still remember my grandparents' number by heart, and they don't even have that home phone no more. I know my childhood number, but so it's like you got people that's not even using their brain for that, and so they look at AI and it's like, oh man, and I think that's why some of y'all nervous because y'all like, man, I ain't been thinking in years, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this thing about the outthinking, but there are some people that say, okay, this AI thing gonna mess it all up, and it's gonna take jobs and it's gonna remove people. What are your thoughts when it comes to that?
Oh, it's definitely gonna take jobs. It's definitely gonna take jobs.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's going to create new jobs, new careers, but it's gonna be higher paying jobs. I think of it like this. I think back to, if anybody saw, what was it, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but the newer one with Johnny Depp. And the father, I think it was the father, the grandfather, whatever, he lost his job they had like a robot come in and basically replace his job.
Okay.
The robot replaced his job, so he ended up jobless. But and you know, at the end of the movie, they always gotta like tie everything up on a nice bow. At the end of the movie, he ended up getting a better job being the engineer that would fix the robot whenever it broke down. It's the same thing with technology. The same technology, the same AI, the same way that the tech industry by itself. So AI is a part of the tech industry. Nevertheless, it's such an advancement of the tech industry that it can be talked about as if it's its own thing. So the same way the tech industry has disrupted every career, every industry as we know it, AI is about to come in and even disrupt and dismantle some of what's happened in the tech industry. So not only, and I started talking about this as soon as I got in the tech industry, because I was only in the industry for a couple months before I started peeping game, and I said, oh snap, this industry is about to replace everything that we see in the hood, every job, whether we're talking cashiers, whether we're talking, I mean, delivery drivers, like whatever. I'm like, yo, all of the different jobs that we see and that are the bedrock of, you know, I hate to say it, but the bedrock of like, you know, a lot of like black communities, whether we're talking poor, middle class, even upper class black communities. I was like, yo, technology is about to disrupt all of this.
Yeah.
And that's why I started talking about tech online and saying, yo, everybody should start, at least on some level, having some foundational understanding of this technology, either once you can use it, or two, you get in the industry some kind of way, so that way now you're now getting paid significantly more, and now it's not replacing you, now it's just upgraded you itself.
Yeah.
And so that's what AI is about to do as well. Even there are some people in tech that are just kicking their feet up. They're like, oh, I'm good, making $150,000 working from home. AI is about to replace a lot of their jobs. And so even people in tech right now are having to realize they gotta like learn what's going on, so that way they can stay on top of it, not get replaced by it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's a great way to look at it. And I would just say this too, because I've seen a couple changes, at least in the tech space, that have happened to business. Like, there used to be a record store, you got Blockbuster, and it's like, one thing I've learned is, don't nobody care when you get put out of business when it's something that's better.
Yeah.
Like, Blockbuster ain't here no more, but I'm not mad. I ain't got no late fees, and I ain't got to go to the store to rent no movie. I can just push a button on my TV.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? And before that, when Netflix was just mailing it to me, I wasn't mad at that either.
No.
And so there's some people that say, oh man, it's gonna do this. It's like, but listen, y'all, ain't nobody gonna really care. So you got to get with the train as soon as possible to at least start understanding. And that's my question that I would ask you next is, if you were to start, because I know you've been in the space now for a little while, learning about tech, AI, where's the first place you would start?
The first place I would start, so first I actually want to double back to something you said, because I want to make sure people really hone in on a piece that you just mentioned. I love how you brought up the Blockbuster Netflix analogy. Everybody knows, obviously, Blockbuster decided to just stay doing what they were doing.
Yep.
Netflix tried to sell themselves to Blockbuster. Blockbuster was trying to lowball them. Of course, Netflix ended up becoming the new thing.
Yep.
But what I think is dope is how Netflix didn't make the same mistake that Blockbuster made, where Netflix, they were initially just, mail in, you can mail. But then they peeped game about the streaming movement.
Yep.
And then they could have easily said, oh, we're not gonna like change our business model. We're a new business. We just like basically outdid Blockbuster.
Yeah.
They were like, we're not gonna end up like Blockbuster.
Thanks.
They pivoted. So I almost look at people who are like not trying to pay attention to the tech AI industry at all, almost like Blockbuster, where it's like, okay, you're already kind of outdated.
Yeah.
And then I see people that think they're good because they're already somewhat familiar with tech.
Yep.
Almost like what Netflix would have been. But then of course this conversation is about, no, don't be like who Netflix could have been, but be like who Netflix actually is.
Right.
Where they pivoted from the mail-in to the streaming service.
Got it. I like that.
And so
That's
I just wanted to like touch on that because I love that you mentioned that.
That's strong.
Now to your question about, okay, where would I get started at right now? I would get started at what are called customer-facing roles.
Okay.
Now, people don't know about customer-facing roles in tech. So most jobs in tech in general, or 47% of jobs in tech are considered non-technical roles, meaning that you do not have to have a technical degree. You don't have to know how to code, program. I don't know any of those things. I don't have a degree. I don't know. I know the information I know about coding and programming, you can learn it in 5 minutes. You know just about as much as me.
Wow.
Nevertheless, I was able to scale and make significantly more money than the majority of people that weren't leveraging other things that I was able to leverage in the tech industry. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep.
Where I would get started and where I encourage people to get started at, unless someone just really, really wants to be technical or wants to code and program, I encourage them to get started in what are called customer-facing roles. Customer-facing role is either a tech sales role, basically you're a software sales.
Got it.
You can make a ridiculous amount of money in tech with that. Starting out at least like a low 6 figures.
Yep.
You can scale in 3 to 5 years, depending on the company that you're at, depending on how your network and how you're moving. You can scale to about $300,000 to $500,000. In 5 to 10 years, depending on how you're moving, you could be a multi-millionaire in the tech industry, just 9 to 5.
Wow, that's in the job space.
Just in the job space. So I would say tech sales, you have customer success manager. Basically, we know of it as like customer support. People don't know, in the tech industry, customer support they call it customer success. That's a 6-figure job. But you're doing the same thing. You're a customer success representative, working from home. So that, sales engineer, which is what I did, where basically I would do demonstrations of my company's technology, of our software, to another company that was interested. Think about you showing your grandparents how to use Instagram. They want to get on Instagram. You show them how to use Instagram, basically.
Yep.
But instead of it being your grandparents, it's a business owner that's about to like go into contract with your company for like $5 million. Same thing. Literally, you're just showing them how to use the technology. So different customer-facing roles. The reason why customer-facing roles is because not only are all of them on average paying well over $100,000, even entry level, and not only can you scale significantly high, but the main reason why is because when we talk about AI eventually replacing some of the roles, I'm of the belief, I'm a pretty extremist when I look at AI. I think it's going to replace everything eventually.
Yeah.
In the next 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of things in the next 2 years, some things in the next 5 years.
Yep.
But even when we talk about roles in tech, the reason why I say people should get started in those customer-facing roles is because, one, it doesn't require a year to 2 years of experience.
Yep.
You know, it pays a ridiculous amount of money.
Yep.
But 3, it's a lot harder for AI to replace it. Yep. Because someone is cool with AI replacing a programmer because you never see a programmer.
Right.
A programmer is in a back office coding things, developing things. But, so you're cool if you find out a AI programmed a website that you're on. You don't care about that.
Yep.
But if you hop onto a sales call and a company's trying to sell something to you and it's a robot trying to sell it to you, you're gonna be like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why customer-facing roles are so valuable, because it's gonna take a very long time, maybe never, before we evolve to where we're comfortable enough talking to a robot and buying something from a robot or getting customer service from what we know is a robot or AI.
No, I agree 1,000%. And somebody asked me the other day, like, what do I think about AI? I said, man, I think it's great, but I was like, I can't see it replacing everything until the day comes where I call a company and I don't be like, representative. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what's happening. I push 0. Hey, listen, let me talk to the representative. Because there's some things that happen, like, you just want to talk to a person. And there's some things that happen, like, no, I need somebody to understand where I'm coming from.
That's real. So to that point, all right, so we about to dive in a little bit. It's about to get kind of weird. All right, so to that point, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
This is where it gets a little weird. What I was talking about when I was saying customer-facing roles, I'm talking about like a role where they at least see a person.
Yeah.
The reason why is because they already have AI technology that you can't differentiate that it's not a person. Because not only is it able to answer all your questions, they have programmed it to where it has some of the imperfections that we have when we're speaking. So meaning that, and I'll send you some examples.
Yeah, please.
But meaning that you'll be on there and you'll say like, hey, I'm here to, check my bank account information. They'll say, okay, cool. They'll literally say, like the AI will say, it'll say that, and it'll say, so what's your mailing address, or what's your information, whatever, your personal identifiable information. And then you'll say it, and then it'll say, okay. And it'll say, all right, I'm just typing it in. And it'll say, do. When in reality, AI could just pull it up right away.
Right.
They've programmed it with mannerisms and inflections, so that way you're like, oh, this is definitely a person.
Wow.
So that's why I mentioned customer-facing roles where it's like them actually seeing you, because the audio will not be that hard for them. I mean, already people are already getting scammed where they're getting phone calls from family members and stuff. So, so AI, I mean, if
it's saying like a sales role, you feel like it's pretty safe for a while.
If it's a sales role is safe, if it's face-to-face. If it's face-to-face or even virtual. Now, I think in the next year, 2 years max, virtual AI is going to be indistinguishable, because it's almost indistinguishable right now. I give it really probably a year, but just to be safe, 2 years max, before none of us are going to be able to look at like a virtual AI like talking to you and realize it is virtual AI. And so, I mean, my team and I, like, we play around with these tools all the time. So it's not even just I'm in the tech industry, and it's not even just that I'm a fan of this stuff. But it's also like, even within our business, we're like, okay, what AI, what technology? We're constantly looking up new technology we can use to save us money and, of course, scale our business. And some of the things we see are freaky. It's like, bruh, this is crazy.
Wow.
But the face-to-face, if someone's doing like face-to-face or door-to-door sales, no robot, like any cyborg type stuff. We're probably 15 years away before that's on that level.
Now, I can see that. What about, because in a lot of spaces, there's a disparity in income for minorities and women specifically. What have you seen in the tech and in the AI space right now?
I would say, so I can't speak too much to disparity when it comes to income in the tech industry. Because everybody that I know that's black and working tech, they get into the bag.
Okay.
Like, they get into the bag. I don't know anyone that's in tech that's black. I'll say it this way. I don't know anyone that's in tech that's black that's been in tech for at least a year that is making under $100,000. I'm baffled whenever I meet someone and they're like, yeah, I've been in tech for a year and a half and they're making like 90,000. I'm like, what? Like my first job, I started at 90,000.
Wow.
And so my first job, I started at 90,000. Within 9 months, I had job hopped twice, which is a thing in tech. I job hopped within 9 months. My third job, that literally 9 months after I started my first job, they had me at $230,000, and that was my take home salary. That wasn't even my other other types of payment and incentives and stuff.
So, can a person have more than one job inside of tech?
Yeah,
I've heard some people do that.
Yeah, so some people do it. It's kind of a thing. So there's a couple different names for it, and there's slightly different versions as to what it looks like. There's job stacking, and then there's overemployment in tech. And this is a way a lot of people start making. This is how a lot of people start making like $500,000 like their first year and a half, 2 years in tech.
Wow.
Now, so what it looks like a couple different things. I know people that do it the wrong way, like they hustling backwards. I know people that do it the right way.
Okay.
So the people that do it the wrong way, and some of them probably gonna be in the comments and they gonna disagree that this is the wrong way. But I'm gonna say it's the wrong way.
Yeah.
Usually what they're doing is they are working at 2 to 3 tech companies at the same time.
Okay.
Now, 9 times out of 10, the only way this is possible is if you're in a non-customer facing role. You're in a role where basically you're working in what are called sprints. Like you have deadline assignments, not assignments where you have to be on calls, talking to customers. But it's like you're given a list of assignments and you're like, oh, I'm given 3 months to do this thing. I could do this in a month. And then, okay, I'm gonna work at some other tech companies too on the low, and I'm gonna just get assignments from all of them and collect all of this money from all of them.
Got it.
So I know people that are doing that. Many of them are really stressed doing that because it's like, okay, yeah, you could have just got $140,000 working at one company, but because you really, 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 really wanted $250,000, now you're at 2, and now you're working 60 hours a week when you could have been working 35 hours and could have leveraged that money towards investing into business or something else. Now, that's one way people do it, which I don't think is the best way.
Got it.
Now, another way people do it, dang, I feel like I shouldn't even be saying, whatever, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna give out the game. We running the play. We running the play.
Let's go.
All right, look. So another way people do it, this is what my homeboys did. This is what made me want to get in tech. I had a homeboy, he has, at the time, it seemed like so much money.
Yeah.
And he was never working, but he was in tech. And I was like we were business partners at the time. And I mean, I was a Lyft driver. I ain't had nothing going on, no motion. And there were things in the business, like something that cost like $10,000. And I would tell him how I was gonna raise the money to pay for it. He was like, bro, it's $10,000. He was like, I just paid for it. I was like, what? And things like that would happen multiple times in the business. And I was like, bruh, I was like, you never working. Like he was always available all the time.
Yeah.
He told me what he would do was, now he's a pretty big dog. He's a brother, but he's a big dog in tech. Like he a beast. Like he is a beast. What he would do is he would get contracts. He didn't work for any tech company. He would get contracts. So he had a contract from like Home Depot and a contract from another company, where they're companies that aren't tech companies but are aggressively trying to become tech companies. They're building out software and technology. He would get these contracts. And one would be like a 4-month contract for like $150,000. Another one would be a 6-month contract for $250,000. He would collect these contracts, and then he would hire junior developers on like Upwork or other platforms.
Wow. And
he would pay them, let's say like from the $250,000 contract, he'd get like 2 or 3 junior devs. He'll pay each of them $50,000. And he'll collect the other like $100,000 and just back pocket it.
Wow, so he almost had like a mini staffing agency.
Yeah, he would do it with like different companies.
Wow.
So he was making like $500,000 and more, chilling, living his life. All he had to do is periodically throughout the day, every now and again, check on their work to see if they're doing stuff right. So that's really good.
You got to know enough to be able to check the work too.
Though. Oh yeah. So he did, but that's again because he's like a top level software. Now he works at 3 companies now. But that's because he's borderline genius. Like he on some other stuff. But for anybody that wants to job stack or do overemployment, and maybe you're not as knowledgeable as he is, you can get contracts. There's another way to do it. It's the last one I'm gonna mention. There's another way to do it, and this is the one that's pretty common. People they'll work at a couple different companies.
Yep.
And then they'll find people that live overseas that can't get the job at the company because, for whatever reasons, maybe they have to like be a U.S. citizen, whatever. and then they'll like share like half the salary with that person. That person will know the job, and they'll do like basically all the work. And so it's a very similar thing, but instead of a person getting contracts, because in order to get contracts from a lot of tech companies, you gotta really like have some weight
stuff. Yeah.
But even if you're just okay, you're gonna work at a few of them.
Yeah.
Some people do that where they just kind of like they get people overseas, have them do the work overnight, and then while they're just really focusing on just one job. So that's like another way to do it.
Yeah, dope. And by the way, one of our partners that, you talk about them all the time, Course Careers, is a great place, I think, for you to start learning.
Yeah.
And you talk about them all the time. We're gonna drop some like a code in the show notes so you guys get some money off to really start learning, because it's not even super expensive.
Man, it's crazy affordable.
It's super affordable. So when I look at it, it's like the barriers to entry isn't extremely hard. The learning timeline isn't extremely hard. And from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's very hard to get hired in the space either. If I'm broke today and I got $500, what would you say to a person like, okay, bro, I got to figure something out? Would that be a route that makes sense for them to start?
That's the greatest route. So look, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Obviously, I'm very pro entrepreneurship. I'm pro all of those things.
Yep.
But whether we're talking getting a loan from a bank or we're talking you being your own angel investor into your business, I believe the best way to do that is a career in tech.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about, okay, if you have $500, definitely do Course Careers. Like, okay, I'm gonna keep it a stack.
Yep.
I'm partnered with a bunch of different like boot camps myself that I refer people to.
Yep.
There is not a boot camp that I know of that's gotten people more jobs faster than Course Careers. People get jobs through Course Careers like crazy.
Wow.
And they get like ridiculously high paying jobs. Most people land in somewhere between on the low end like 85,000, on the high end like 125,000. I've seen some people accept roles for like 65,000, which is cool because it's starting out.
Bad. I mean, if you only got $500, you can't be mad at 65,000.
Working remote, the company gives you your equipment. They cover everything. And so, bro, it's a game changer. If I had known about Course Careers before I got in tech, so I did a tech boot camp to get in tech.
Yep.
It was way more expensive than Course Careers.
Yeah.
Had I known about Course Careers, I would have just did Course Careers. And that's why I'm always telling people about it too.
Yeah. I think it's a great place. And we got a discount for, y'all on the Run the Play show, so we'll drop it in the show notes. But it's going to be Justin 50. And listen, I think the space is booming, man. It's two spaces, really three I'm excited about. One is tech, one is AI, and the other is solar. Those are things that I don't personally think are going anywhere, at least for the next decade. And so as I'm looking forward, like I'm always just trying to put people on like looking ahead, because I think one of the mistakes that sometimes we can get is like we start getting ahead and then we start trying to repeat the past instead of saying, okay, let me keep looking forward. Like what you was talking about with Netflix. Yeah. And so y'all get on game and start researching this stuff and start learning it as soon as possible. Yeah. Now let's talk about some of the fun stuff, because I've seen stuff from stuff at the grocery stores, stuff from barbershops, stuff to drivers. Like matter of fact, we just had lunch today and there was a delivery like cart driving stuff, and it was somebody riding the bike behind it to make sure it was stopping at the stop sign. There was somebody that started walking in front of it, and it stopped and paused, and he's like taking notes to make sure it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Yeah. So I'm like, yo, this stuff is happening right now. Yeah. Like what are you seeing with that? Because that is physically taking jobs. Yeah, literally. Because like now we talking about drivers and stuff like that. Now we was talking about UPS. Yeah. So give me some insight to that, because a lot of people was like, oh, they rich now, they're making $170,000. What is the backside of that and the impact long term you think?
So the UPS situation. So first off, shouts out to everybody that's at UPS that was protesting, that was asking for the raise. Hats off to them for getting that. That being said, as we know, in articles go.
That's how you know somebody about to slap.
Yeah. Let me butter it up first.
Let me just say this. All right, we go ahead.
Yeah. So that being said, shouts out to them for that. That being said, of course we know, and these are things they know, but most of the public doesn't know this. The articles are grossly exaggerating. There's like, they're getting $170,000. They're not getting $170,000. Yeah. They're getting like a little under $100,000. First off, in order to get that, you have to like be at the company for 5 years. In order to like even get up to like that level. Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah, that's good.
But you're getting like $100,000 5 years later, which is better than most industries. Not as good as like tech or other industries like that, but it's still better than most industries. The other downside to it is that the rest of the money, when it says $170,000, that was talking about like other like benefits and other incentives and things that they were going to get. Now, outside of the pay, the reason why I don't think this is as good as people think is because already these delivery companies and parcel shipping companies have already been working on technology to replace these drivers and replace the delivery workers. We've already seen it. I walk around Miami and I see delivery robots passing by me on the sidewalk all the time. And so this isn't even something that they're gonna start working on. They've already begun working on it already. Yeah. And now one of the things that people didn't pay attention to with the news is that the companies, the owners, the investors, all of them, they had to grossly slash their expectations for their earnings once they had to up the pay for their drivers. Yeah. And because of that, we know any business owner, anybody that's entrepreneur, or if you even study things, people start businesses to make money. Right. They're in business to make money.
Absolutely.
Most business owners aren't in business to look out for the workers. They want the workers to be doing well enough, but they're doing the business to make money. But then when you have investors, now you're kind of doing the business to make the investors money. And the investors care even less about the employees. So naturally, by default, what's happening is the conversation is going to be, okay, how can we quickly just get rid of these drivers? Correct. And by default, they're going to look at, okay, they're going to literally be having conversations. It's not like one company is creating this robotics or AI delivery. Yeah. There are probably hundreds of companies that are racing to be the best. Yep. So literally, whether we're talking UPS, DHL, FedEx, Amazon, whoever, all of these companies are in meeting after meeting, in demo after demo, looking at each company's technology, preparing, salivating at the mouth to go into contract. Even they'll probably start it out in one city or one area to test it out. They'll probably test it out with different companies. And then as soon as they kind of crack the code, they're gonna gradually start getting rid of the drivers. So as much as it's good news, it's temporary good news for those drivers. Realistically, whether we're talking the drivers, whether we're talking cashiers, whatever industry general or common industries people are looking at or in, we need to look at, okay, this is temporary. What can I start either investing my pennies into, or what kind of upskilling can I do, or what can I do business or career-wise? Some heavy pivot has to happen because what we see the world as today in 5 years is going to look entirely different.
Yeah. No, I think that's 1,000% accurate. And I had to get taught this, y'all, from a business standpoint, because you got a business now. It's any entrepreneurs, y'all know, we get a balance sheet. Yeah. You got assets, you got liabilities. And when I was younger, you thinking, okay, I'm an employee of the company, I'm a great asset to the company. Labor is on the liability side of the house. And so what do you do when if you're trying to cut your budget, you look at the thing that's costing you the most and you try to make sure you can cut it down a little bit. Well, companies do the same thing. They say, okay, man, what is costing us the most? Labor. That's why when a company is trying to downsize, the first thing they do is cut people. Yeah. And I'm not laughing at it, but I think it's important for us because I'm not anti-jobs. I'm pro having multiple options and skill sets that make you valuable in the marketplace. And so you got to say, okay, man, in this pool of people, how can I be more valuable to a company? Yeah. Well, what if I'm working for a company that's looking for this, but they find out that I already have the skill sets they're looking for? Maybe instead of them searching for it, I've already been here. I can start working with them. And so I think learning these skills, getting on the front end of it. So now in 3 to 5 years, instead of you just learning about it, you've had 3 to 5 years of experience in the space. Yeah.
And I don't even think I don't look at working in the tech industry as something that's separate from entrepreneurship. I look at it as something that's kind of adjacent or almost parallel to it. Yeah. Because it's okay, let's say someone's oh man, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm broke. Yeah. And okay, I'm trying to build this business, but first off, I don't understand that much about business. I don't understand that much about systems or how to build a team or how to lead or how to scale, whatever. And it's I can't afford these courses or I can't afford these masterminds or I can't afford X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And it's okay, if you're at that space, like you mentioned, whether we're talking course careers or something else, it's okay, if you're in that space, okay, you get a 6-figure career in tech. Okay, boom, now you have the money for these courses, for these conferences, for these masterminds. Right. Now you can get in a room with certain people. So now your knowledge is growing and expanding. Your network is growing and expanding. But also being in the tech industry is more than just getting a big check. first off, the skills and things you learn in this industry. I mean, even if we're talking about tech sales, you become a master at sales. One thing that's very close to being a CEO or being a founder is sales. You have to understand sales. So within that, now you become a master at understanding sales, but not just general sales, not like you just selling a book, but you selling an expensive software to another CEO. So now you're skilled with B2B sales. Now you take your new net worth, you take your new network from the events, you take your new knowledge from going to those conferences, the masterminds, things like that. But also now you have a network of people in the tech industry that are now all 6- and 7-figure earners. Jeez. Once I got in the tech industry, after 5 months, most of my friends all were, like the majority of them were making between $500,000 to multiple millions of dollars. That was either from me networking at events, but mainly from me just being in the tech industry by default. And because of that, once I said, oh, I want to start a business, I want to do this, I want to do that, who needs an investor? Who needs an investor when all of us, like even now, like with the Octopi AI, the company I'm a co-founder with, we're like, we don't need an investor, we could bootstrap. Like, all of us are making 6 and 7 figures here. And so, but also all of us understand different aspects of the business, whether it's because of the tech industry or because of certain things we've done, because we've gone to masterminds, we've gone to conferences. So that's why I say I don't look at, if someone just wants to work in the tech industry and they want to become a millionaire, that can happen just working in the tech industry within 5 to 10 years. That can happen. But if someone's like, I really want to just be a business owner, be an entrepreneur, cool. Get in the tech industry, get this information, get these skills, and now leverage that when it comes to your business, especially if you're working remote. You know, it's so many options and opportunities. And I think that we're really at a point where it's like, man, I'm not gonna say we don't have excuses anymore, because I can't speak for everybody's situation or scenario, but there's never been a better time right now. There's never been a better time. Even like with resources like with Run to Play and the guests that you have on here and stuff, like, you know, I'm a fan of your content and I like watch stuff, and I'm like, man, it's like so much game that we're able to learn right now. And so, and I mean, in the midst of learning the game, you gotta run the play. You
gotta run it. No, I love that, man. I think it's the future is really bright. I wanted to ask you a question, because you said something earlier, and you said, you know, tech space, and then you got AI, right? What is the difference? If I'm listening, like, okay, what is the difference between like tech and AI?
Yo, that's a fire question. I don't think anybody's ever asked that.
Okay.
So tech is broad. So tech in and of itself speaks about software, predominantly software and hardware.
Okay.
So for instance, this TV, this screen is tech.
Okay.
Now it's old tech to us now. 20 years ago, flat screen TV was like,
it was the deal.
It was like, whoa. This is tech. It's hardware technology, meaning that it requires certain wires and certain computer chips. That's the hardware.
Okay.
But it's also comprised of software technology. The software are the things that you can't see, usually the coding that goes in there. Or them coding certain things for something to pop up on the screen, the run to play, things like that. So there's hardware and then there's software.
Okay.
Now, usually when I talk about tech, I'm predominantly talking about the software industry or the SaaS, software as a service industry. Netflix is a software as a service. It's software and it provides a service.
Got it.
You know,
like Salesforce,
software as a service. Perfect example. So now this is where we get into the difference. Alexa, Siri, Google Voice, those are not AI. Everybody talks about them like they're AI.
I was good. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh man, you know, the AI, that's not AI. Now, eventually it's about to be AI. They're integrating AI into it right now. It's actually embarrassing that they're late to the AI move. Literally, these newer companies are about to lap them. That's a whole nother conversation about how you can start something new and they can lap big dogs. But anyway, now Alexa, Siri, Google Voice are not AI. Everything that they're able to do and that they know is pre-programmed information. Okay. So there are programmers, like the programmers that work at Amazon or work at AWS, Amazon Web Services. They have programmed, think of it like you be a parent.
Okay.
A parent who teaches their kids some stuff. The kid learns some things from their parents. The parent is the programmer. The programmers program things. But then the kid also goes out into the world. Let's say the world is Google. The kid goes out into the world and learns from Google. So everything the kid is able to express or explain to you is based off of either what was programmed by the parent or based on what it got from Google. But that's it.
Got it.
Now that's typical software tech. That's Siri, Alexa, Google Voice. Now AI AI is okay, now that kid is basically, you taking a leash off of that child. And now the child can go to college. The child can go to this country. It can go to that country. It can do basically whatever it wants to do. And now it's learning by itself. So 10 years later, you see that child or maybe that old friend again, and you talk to them, you're like, whoa. You're like, bro, you're way smarter. You know things you didn't know before. And not only that, it adapts. You can introduce it to your friend and say, yo, this is my homeboy Bill right here. And then it'll be like, oh, hi, Bill. And then you'll be like, yeah, Bill's favorite color is red. Okay, cool. And then a year later, it'll see Bill again, and it'll say like, oh, Bill, I got you this like red shirt. And obviously, I'm not saying it can physically do something, but it learns and it adapts. Software by itself cannot truly learn and adapt. You know, like every time our iPhones update, they don't update automatically. They update because there are programmers that are saying, okay, we have to update the iPhone or update the software with these new ideas that we come up with.
Yep.
So software developers have come up with new ideas, and it's an oversimplification. Somebody else will be like, no, it's the product manager and it's the product team. I know all of that stuff, but just simplification for people to understand all of this stuff. Software developer says, okay, cool. We're gonna come up with these new things.
Yep.
And okay, now we're gonna push out these updates to where Siri now is updated.
Yep.
But AI doesn't need to push out updates. AI is just constantly getting smarter like a person.
Got it.
You know, it's like every day you're learning new things. AI is the same. So basically, AI is like us.
That's
it's
why it's
really like
scary
us
for like the movie stuff. Though.
And eventually it will become self-aware.
Yeah.
To what AI, and some of it is right now. Some AI is like, no, I am AI. I know that I'm AI. Now it's like, okay, do you know what that means? Or are you just saying you know what that means? And that's where we're starting to step into some pretty interesting territory.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so somebody says, all right, maybe I don't want to get into the sales side. I just, you know what, since the tech space is booming, I'll just be a recruiter for the tech space.
Yeah.
Because that's front facing. So that if I attach myself, what are your thoughts on that? Person that says that.
I'll say a couple things. First off, I will say that for those that really, really want to do that, use the discount code that Justin mentioned to do Course Careers, because they do have a tech recruit HR tech course with Course Careers. They know that, or they have that. But something came out recently with Indeed.
Okay.
Most people know. Most people have like applied to jobs before. So Indeed recently announced that they are working on AI recruiters. And so first off, let me reel it back. So the reason why a tech recruiter is a better role than being a recruiter for most other industries is because it's a six-figure job. Most jobs in tech, it could be a regular job in any other industry. Just because you're working in tech, you're going to get paid significantly more, just by default.
Okay.
But Indeed, they are working on AI recruiters to where they're going to have it to where when people that are doing virtual interviews, they're going to have technology to where instead of it being an actual recruiter, it'll be AI. Now, I'm not sure if it'll have a person show up.
Yeah.
Or you just are staring at a screen. I'm sure they'll probably have like a person show up because just staring at a screen would be weird. And so that's something that they're working on. Now, does that mean that's going to get implemented anytime soon? No, because what people see a company come up with technology and they think, oh, this automatically is going to go into effect.
Yeah.
No, they have to sell that technology to other companies, and other companies have to adapt and accept it.
Which is where the tech sales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's literally the job. So Indeed is going to have their own tech sales team that are going to be doing meetings with different companies, and they're going to be doing demos. The tech salespeople are going to be selling or offering to sell the technology. The sales engineers, like what I did, are going to be doing demonstrations of the technology.
Got it.
And then, but I do believe gradually, it's still probably going to take like another decade or so before it's going to be somewhat normal. So tech recruiting is still an industry that at least for the next 5 years, you can get in, make a good $150,000 plus, use that money towards other things, and then get out of there before like AI replaces it. But eventually that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I want to switch gears and talk about Cyrus the man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, cool.
You know, I think tech is good, that's important, but I always like to find out how people get here and their thought process.
Yeah.
So before tech, what were you doing?
So before tech, so I served in the Marine Corps for 6 years.
Okay.
So right,
service, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, my pleasure, man. But so yeah, right after high school, because I didn't have any plans or nothing. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't even do the SATs or nothing. So I was not prepared for college at all. Yep. So I just knew that I needed to leave my neighborhood. I said I can't just stay here.
Yeah.
And so I left, did the Marine Corps, and I was in the Marine Corps for about 6 years. Towards the end of my contract in the Marine Corps, got really kind of serious about my faith in God as a Christian. Started doing a lot of work with churches.
Okay.
And that kind of like blew up. Like I was doing some work with churches, speaking on panels. As like a young kid, thinking I knew something, I ain't know nothing. Yeah. Talking about relationships and stuff at 20 years old. Like, where was I thinking? Anyway, they would put me on the panels. But I was speaking at those different events, and then eventually that just kind of grew to where I just started getting booked to speak at different churches, colleges, conferences, everywhere, whether it was about relationships, about faith, about life. And I was doing that full time for probably about 6 or 7 years. And I thought I was like just a creative and a speaker. Yeah. That was my whole thing.
That was during the Marine Corps or after the Marine Corps?
It was right after the Marine Corps. Okay. Right after the Marine Corps. Yep. And so what's funny is that I was broke. Everybody thought I was popping because of social media. You know, they seen you getting fluid out. They like, you popping. I thought I was popping too, but like I look back and I'm like, no, I was cracking open probably about like $35,000 a year. Wow. I just looked like I was popping. I was living in the hood, didn't have a car, didn't have nothing. And it was dope. I still enjoyed it. I was still making impact, which is really what matters. But at some point, really it was around the time the pandemic hit. Okay. Which has shifted a lot of people. Yep. When the pandemic hit and I had to sit down, first off, I was like, okay, I don't have any real skills. But secondly, I really had to look in the mirror and I was like, bro, you 30 years old now. It's like you 30 years old and you broke. Yeah. And you been broke. And it's like, and you been just riding off of the dopamine of you speaking and traveling and looking like you popping. Yeah. And I was like, bro, you broke. And then you know, you dating women. Yeah. And women are savages, especially as they get older.
Yeah, for sure.
And I respect that. I love it. I love it about them. But you know, I'm dating women around the time, and women were just basically, as women get older, they not gonna mince words. They gonna be like
exactly how it is.
They gonna be like, Playboy, I'm sorry, you broke, or you ain't got this, you ain't got that. And I'm not even talking about the gold digging women. I'm just talking about women who just are like, they peeping game, you're not a provider. Yeah. And it's like, it don't matter how cute you are, how funny you are. At that point, they like, Playboy, all that stuff played out. Like, well, what you got? Yeah. And so really had to sit with myself. And I lost everything. And I was staying with my sister she gave me my niece's bedroom. My niece was 5 years old, so my niece went and slept with her and gave me her My Little Pony bedroom. And I was sleeping in her twin size My Little Pony mattress. Cover was My Little Pony. Pillowcase I laid my head on was My Little Pony. You turn the lights off, there was a My Little Pony glow lamp with ponies. I'm a 30-year-old man in a little girl's playroom. Yeah. Looking at my life, waking up every day. I started Lyft driving around that time. And I was praying and I was like, yo, something has to change. Yep. And I was like, okay, God, I said, I don't care about business. I don't care about any of this corporate stuff. I was like, but I said, I know that I should as a man. And I asked God to like change my heart and give me a heart that cared about learning about this stuff. And I ain't gonna say like I heard from God, but like what I felt was communicated to my heart. There's a scripture that says, faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. I think it's Romans 10:17. And what was communicated to me wasn't necessarily that scripture, like faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God, but like, yo, if you want to grow your faith in God, you need to read the Bible. Yeah. So I ended up kind of like reverse engineering that. And it was like, oh, if I want to grow my desire when it comes to business or it comes to tech or what's happening in the world, I need to start learning about it, even if I don't care about it. Yeah. And so while I was Lyft driving, I stopped listening to music. This pissed a lot of people off in my car. I only listened to business podcasts and audiobooks. That was it. Yeah. I've listened to all of Elon Musk's story while Lyft driving, all of Jeff Bezos' story while Lyft driving, the Everything story, which is about Amazon, how he structured it, all of Steve Jobs' story, everything about Apple, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the books that we talk about.
You made it to university for real.
While Lyft driving, bro, I had people pull out guns on me because they was pissed off. Like, bro, put some music on, bro. I'm gonna kill you. They were so mad. Hey. And I was just like, and I would tell people like, I say, look, yo, all due respect, I'm just taking you to your destination. I was like, look, I gotta educate myself. And it was through sitting in that car, Lyft driving, that my entire brain transformed. And I started falling in love with everything, with business and then the tech industry. And that was when I knew, yo, I have to get in this industry. I knew it wasn't even just the bag. I said, yo, this is where the world is going.
Yeah.
And so I got in the industry. Now, did I expect for it to blow up the way, you know, not just the industry, but even like my career? Yeah. I didn't expect it. But, you know, God always has like a bigger plan. Like, we just think about what we want. And when God wants something for us that we want for us as well, ourselves as well, usually it's because he wants it not just for us, but he wants it because he knows he's gonna use us to impact others.
Yeah, for sure.
And so yeah, man, so that's what happened. But
yeah, that's dope. I always have a segment on the shows called Breakdown of Breakthroughs, and I think you kind of shared a little bit of the breakdown, but let me explain what it is. Basically, I believe every entrepreneur, they probably have multiple, but at least one breakdown that there's some lessons that are there that if you gather the lessons, you apply them the right way, it could be the ladder to get out and have your breakthrough. Yeah. So it sounds like that was a breakdown in your career. Yeah. What lessons would you say you pulled out of that situation that maybe somebody that could be stuck right now could apply, and maybe that could be their breakthrough also?
I mean, a few. One is that, you know, I'm sure people have heard this a lot, but nobody's coming to save you. Yeah. No one is coming to save you. And I mean, you mentioned earlier, like people were talking about AI and tech taking away our jobs. The government doesn't really care. Yeah. Companies don't care. Like no one cares. Yeah. So stop thinking if you cry and scream loud enough, someone's gonna care and come to save you. That's not gonna happen. So one, no one's gonna come to save you. There was another idea or concept that I had, and this was I remember back when I was living off Campbellton Road, like way before when I was working to eventually start thinking about getting in tech. It was like this weird concept. It's not even a quote or a saying, but I'll just explain the concept. Okay. Life is like a fight, like you're in a boxing ring. There are some days where life isn't swinging. There's some days it's not swinging. Some days it's just kind of like on defense. Yeah. It's waiting for you to swing. And then there are some days where it's just gonna be swinging, and it's gonna seem like it's just not swinging. It's just coming at you full force. Yep. Never, ever, I learned this, never live life like you're on the defense. Live every day like you are on the offense. Yep. Because first off, the benefit of that is, if life is on the defense, you better be on the offense, because this is your opportunity. You're not being attacked. Yep. This is your time to swing, go all out, get your licks in. Yep. But the beauty of staying on the offense is that you never fully give life an opportunity to get on the offense. Yeah. It's almost like if you're in a fight, if you're constantly swinging, the person never gets a chance to really like fight back, because every time they try to start swinging, or almost like if you're in a gunfight, if somebody just shooting, and they're undercover, they never have an opportunity to pop their head up. Yep. Now, does that mean like plenty of times life has like popped up in the last 2 years since all that's happened? Because 2 years ago I was Lyft driving. I was not in tech yet. Plenty of times life has popped up and it's like, you know, let off some shots at me. Yeah. But those shots don't hurt me as much because I'm so on the offense. Yep. And now that isn't something that happens overnight. That's more so something people have to condition within themselves. Yep. But you'll never become that person if you never start taking the steps to become that person. So you have to at least start. Yeah. It's just like working out. You know, you're not going to, be prepared for a marathon next week. You have to start preparing 6-9 months, sometimes a year and a half in advance. But you'll never be prepared for it. You'll never have the conditioning for it if you don't start training today.
That's strong, bro. I appreciate you sharing that. And you know, something else I gathered from your story too is like, you was in your sister's house. Yeah. Wasn't a great situation, but you still went and drove a Lyft. Yeah. Like, so it's a couple things for me. Number one is like, you were humble enough to say, look, I can't just stay where I'm at and feel sorry for myself. And it's like, yo, even if you're not where you want to be, you got to still keep moving. Oh, facts. That's what I'm here. Like, you know, there's some people, they get like something happens, like, oh, they just give up. And it's just like, I'm chilling. Like, man, sometimes like you can only be blessed if you're doing something, you get some motion, you get it going, and that's like, real. And then you make the best out of the situation. Like, yo, okay, you know what? I'm driving, but at least let me get some education out of this piece so it can be beneficial for me. So now I'm getting paid to learn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a ton of lessons in your experience, and I appreciate you sharing that, because there's somebody that's listening that they're gonna have those challenges as well. I think you're a very creative creator. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like your content is really creative. There's some people that's like, okay, 2 years ago you driving Lyft. To today, it's like, I mean, I've seen you do stuff from dancing to mouth and stuff. Like, it's like, how does a guy go from like I'm driving Lyft? It is like, but now it seems like you're living your authentic self.
Yeah.
Can you give some content creation tips for somebody that's like, man, I'm trying to change my life and I still got to get out here. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. So I would say this. So first of all, good content creation tips for business owners.
Okay.
They don't think they're creatives.
Okay.
I don't believe there's anyone more creative than successful business owners.
Yeah.
Because you constantly have to be creative. Now, it's not, we have to separate being creative versus being artistic. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
You can be creative and not be artistic.
Yep.
So I believe anyone that's a business owner and you don't think you're creative, you need to actually just realize that the reason why you're not creative is because you don't see yourself as a creative. You are a creative. You have to be a creative by default.
Yeah.
So first off, understand, okay, I am a creative.
Yeah.
Now, just like anything else in business or anything else you're doing, okay, how did you learn something? Well, or how are you able to do something? You had to learn it.
Yeah.
So likewise, it's whether we're talking content creation, anything on social media, whatever, it's just something you have to learn. Mm-hmm. You have to try it.
Yep.
Whatever it is, you're gonna look stupid your first time. There's a platform called Think Media.
Mm-hmm.
They're a pretty dope YouTube platform.
Yep.
And one of the things that they say, the slogan, they say like, you have to just press record. And they say that your first episode of whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a podcast or content, is gonna be your worst.
Yep.
Or something Mr. B says like, yo, your 100th time is gonna look better than your first time. So you have to keep doing it. So first off, I wanna say that, really just get out there, start doing it, start making the content. I would say that there are, all right, so let me get some practical tools for people.
Yep.
When you're making content, I believe in pairing some form of entertainment with education.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, people do not care about education without some form of entertainment.
Right.
Now, you have to find what entertainment you're good at. Now, the entertainment could be comedy. Like if you're a funny person, you can do some type of something comedy-wise, but then you find some type of way to layer education or information within there. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're not funny. Maybe you're not a good actor. Some people are good at like acting out scenes and they'll like have the captions on the screen. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not good at that. I see some people that's trash at that. And I'll be like, yo, this is not your lane. Yeah. What you can do instead, something simple. You can just go to a nice area in your city where there's a lot of like beautiful landmarks and stuff. You could walk around and either have a person following you with their phone or with your phone, or you could like set up a tripod and just like post up. Record yourself for 30 seconds, boom, that's a perfect piece of content. Mm-hmm. You post that on social media with a nice like background music, and then now you just put something on the screen that you want to educate people with. You've mixed entertainment, because entertainment, it's not funny, but it's still entertainment. It's entertaining people because they're engaged by your background and where you're at. Or, okay, let's say, okay, you don't want to walk around some beautiful place. Let's say you just want to create something at your home. We all know one of the simplest things to do is just take different audios that are on social media of something that's funny. This is what I do. I'm pretty lazy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lazy when it comes to making content. I batch record like crazy.
Wow.
Even with my podcast, we batch record like crazy. We're doing 16 episodes this weekend.
Wow.
But when I'm making like my social media content, I choose one day. It's usually Saturday. Sunday is my backup day. Mm-hmm. I set up my tripod, have my light. I find some cool background, whether it's my crib or something in front of my car. You got to flex something. Yeah. All throughout the week, whenever I'm listening to audios on social media, every time I hear audio I think is funny, I just save it. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't even think about what I'm using, I just save it. Save it. When I go to make content, put my phone up on my tripod, I lay out like 5 different shirts.
Okay.
Because I know I spread this content out over a whole month.
Yep.
You can't wear the same shirt for a month. Everybody thinking you're just wearing it for a month.
Yep.
And then literally, I go through all the audios. I choose an audio. I sit down. I'm lip sync the audio. Yep. And I kind of do the body language and movement. And then after that, I save it. I do that like 4 times, and then I change my shirt. Do it 4 or 5 more times. Change my shirt. Do it over and over. I make the content without even knowing what I'm gonna put on the caption. I just batch record like 20 pieces of content. And then I choose the day before or the week in advance if I'm gonna schedule all of them. I choose then, okay, now what I'm gonna put on here for the caption. So I don't, because too often people try to like analysis by paralysis. They try to sit there and think like, okay, what video, what content am I gonna make? It's cool to do that for a few different things. But 9 times out of 10, when people do that, 9 times out of 10, it's because they're trying so bad to go viral. 9 times out of 10, the content you make you think is gonna go viral, ain't nobody gonna care about. It's gonna you will spend 4 hours editing it, trying to make it so cool.
It be a joint you don't even be thinking about. You be like, what?
Every time. It be the stuff you be having in a barrel that you don't even want to drop. You like, man, nobody care about this. And you drop it, and that be the joint to take off.
It's wild.
So you have to like, in this instance, get over yourself. Stop thinking so highly of yourself. Just make the content, drop the content. Consistency and volume trumps rare quality all the time. Like it just does. And so, and also by default, with you being consistent, you actually will become better and have more quality with time, just naturally by default. You know, it's Mr. Miyagi, Daniel's son, wax on, wax off. It's like, okay, wax on, wax off, but eventually you do that enough, now you've mastered the movements. He mastered the movements without even knew he was trying to master movements, but he mastered them because he did it so much. Likewise, same thing with content creation.
Man, I love that. That's strong. Because I think what you said is perfect. That's why I like the idea. Because like when you're new to making content, you can almost put so much energy on one piece.
Man.
But okay, this is about to be the one. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, you in that same period of time though, you literally could have probably recorded 15, 20 pieces of content. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel like even adjusting your strategy, just like we're talking about with tech and business, same thing goes with social media. Because one of the things that I see a lot of people doing is when you don't have any money or you don't have any following, you don't have any results, is you try to mimic stuff that you saw in the past.
Facts.
And so me and Philly, my creative director, we was talking because I was like, man, back in the day, like we would go to events and like most people go to events and you would just get a recap video. You know, like it'd be like real smooth, everything they doing, 3-4 minutes. And then I was like, this don't make no sense. We here for 2 days and we make 3 days, we make 1 video.
Man, that's real.
No, we're not doing that no more. Scrap that. And I was like, listen, I don't even care about the recap videos no more. Let's get 5 to 10 reels every day. 10, 15 reels every day of us talking, testimonials, blah, blah, blah. So now we leave one event with 30, 40 pieces of content instead of 1 3-minute video. And I still actually see people doing that today. And I'm like, oh, you still caught in the past. You doing stuff that you were inspired by during your process, not noticing that times have changed. And that don't, like, I'm not gonna watch no 3 minutes.
Let me throw myself under the bus. I did that recently at InvestFest.
Okay, well.
We were at InvestFest. No. Because I'm not somebody where it's like I be trying to act like I got it all down pat.
I didn't see this.
No. I didn't think you were. I'm listening to it, and I noticed that when I was at InvestFest, because I go to a lot of tech events all the time, but InvestFest was something different. I kind of put it up there with Afrotech. And it was something different. And I think it's easier when I'm like speaking at an event or something, but because I was just literally just a guest, you know, at InvestFest, happy to be there. I was walking through, and I mean, we recorded a bunch of things of me talking to people, but because my videographer wasn't there, I just was like being lazy. I just stitched all of it together and uploaded it. But afterwards, I looked at it and I was like, this is actually really stupid. I was like, it's 1 video. I said it would have been much better if it was multiple videos. So hearing you say it, I'm like, facts. So that's real.
Nah, and we literally had a conversation. I was like, man, it's just. And now, like, man, we'll get 15, 30 reels out of the same weekend that you trying to piece together this whole thing. Then it's like, it's mostly music, dropping a little bar here or there. And I'm like, that's not as effective as it used to be. And it used to work really well on Facebook. It used to work really well on YouTube. But I was like, nah, times have changed. And so
that's short form.
It's adjusting. And so, like I said, same way you adjust in business, adjusting your content. But don't overthink the joint, man.
True.
And I like your style because I'm like, man, he really just, like, I like authenticity. Whatever it is. Like, if it's funny, if it's, like, whatever, you going to do it. And it's going to have a business caption. And So, all right, let me ask you this. Your process, like, how do you take something funny and you say, okay, here's my angle to connect to the business? This is my last question for you. How do you like? Okay, this funny. This is Mr. Miyagi. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the video is, and now this is my angle to connect it to tech or my boot camp or Octoply. Like how do you?
Man, that's a good question. Cause how do I do that? 'Cause I don't even want to cap. Like I just got this all figured out. Cause there are some things that we do and we don't even like. I know that I do it, but I want to think through like what is my process when I do that. So first off, I can say this as I'm thinking through the answer. First of all, I can say this. I always try to do three different types of content, and I try to only have some type of pitch or sales in 2 of them.
Okay.
And I always try to have one where it's just content.
Yep.
You know, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, he's always selling something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do it I only sell something once out of every 3 pieces of content.
Yeah.
I'm only pushing something once every three pieces of content. So I try to do that. And another thing I'll say is I'm trying to think through the answer. There's content. So in the midst of saying that, okay, mix entertainment with education, some of my content, like for instance, like my podcast clips. My podcast clips do not do nowhere near as many views.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's probably the same thing with yours.
Same, yeah.
Not as many views. The education doesn't do as many views as like if I'm doing something funny.
Correct.
So I always try to like post something that's funny or something that's shocking.
Yeah.
So that's why recently I've started like addressing tech news.
Yeah.
Because it's shocking. Yeah. Like I'm not like gonna do some like viral relationship toxic stuff because that's not me. That's not my brand.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. People need to know their brand.
Yeah.
Because people will do something to drive traffic. You drive traffic, but the people came to follow you based on something else you posted, and now you're trying to sell them or promote something to them.
Right.
And they're like, bro, I didn't come here for this.
Right.
So it's really important that business owners and or content creators, whatever the thing that you know that you're good at that drives traffic, you find a way to make sure it lines up with whatever the education or the thing that you're selling.
Yeah, that's good.
Because if it's too, now it doesn't have to exactly be the same thing, but if it's like way too off, you know, like if somebody is, I ain't gonna say no names, we know a lot of people, but if somebody's doing like toxic relationship content, that's all they do, like toxic relationship content, and they're going viral for that. A lot of those people aren't making money. They go viral all the time. They get so many views. They have so many followers. A lot of them are either broke or they're not doing that well because it's really hard for them to get brands, sponsorships. It's hard. There are very few like affiliate deals they can get, especially I know affiliate deals where they're gonna like make a lot of money on the back end from it.
Yeah.
So it's like the thing they try to sell, like they'll try to sell other things, and it's like the people that follow them don't care about that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I didn't follow you for that.
Right.
So make sure that what you're going viral for isn't in contradiction with your brand or with like what it is that you're trying to build.
Yep.
So always think through that. So that's one thing that I do whenever, because there's so many times I want to make content about stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that'd be so funny.
Yep.
And I'm like, that has nothing to do with my brand. I'm like, nothing. I'm like, I just can't do it. It just won't work at all.
That's real.
And that's what it is sometimes. Like it's just like being a business owner.
Yep.
People come to you with a business idea, and you'll be like, bro, that actually sounds dope.
Yeah.
But you're like, that just doesn't have anything to do with what I do.
Yep.
And it's like the amount of time and the amount of distraction and my bandwidth, it's like, I just can't do it.
Yep.
It's the same thing when you're making content. It has to make sense.
Yep. I love it. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Yeah, man.
Y'all just got some good information today. I learned a lot of stuff today. Cyrus, anytime somebody come on the show, we like to make sure they leave with a little something. So
I'm with it.
Grab that for me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with it.
Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully the stuff fit. You know what I mean? But
what we got behind door number 1.
Here we go. So, you know what I'm saying? We got the first book. This is one of the books I give it to all my people. Speed of Trust. That's the currency of business and, leaders. We got the new, fall, summertime. Winter is coming up. So we got the new CEO.
Oh, bruh.
Jacket. Got you some socks.
Oh, this is cold.
You gotta leave here with the uniform.
This is cold.
That's something for you.
You know what's so crazy?
What's that?
I remember when I was first seeing like your merch and your drip on different people and even on yourself. I was like, man, that just so cool. But I was like, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just in tech. But now I am an entrepreneur.
Hey.
And I'm in tech. What?
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love it.
So, you know, this is what, anytime people take time out of their life, you know what I'm saying, come through, like, make sure y'all leave with something. So,
yeah, family.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate this, bro.
Doing for the community, too, man, because it's changing a lot of people's lives, bro.
Yeah, man, bro, look, I mean, I told you this before, like, I think when we first met, and I mean, I want to say it on here while the cameras are rolling, bro. I mean, I've just been a fan of you, been a fan of, like, your growth, like, your evolution and things that you've done, dude. So, bro, I love it so much, man. Honored to be on here. Thank you for bringing me on your platform with your audience.
Bro. Appreciate you being here, man. So, hey, y'all, you know, Cyrus just gave y'all the play on tech, how to grow in that space with AI. So, you know, y'all got to play. Go run it. We'll see you on the next episode.
Let's get it.
What's going on? Listen, make sure you guys go to runtheplaystore.com. Get your official Run the Play gear. We talk about shirts, socks, jackets for everybody that's Run the Play all across the world.
Are you ready? We're gonna run the play. Let's go. Do you know what it's like to come from nothing at all, but every day you just wanting it all? Do you know what it's like? Every day facing your fear, but believing that your blessing is near. Do you know what it's like? Growing up broken than most.